Unemployed? What the hell do you have to lose? America must reject.
Only mad at the Black Lives Matter movement cause it's moving. One no longer live translucent, here to stay and not moving for 100 years oppression. And they hate it that we happy black, our hair, our nose, our lips, our skin, our smile. We love this shit. Comply and you won't die, it's all so simple. Listen, if your skin is black and it stays like that, it's 2.5 strikes against you. It's too much. Where is my wallet?
Thank you all for tuning in for this Stephon Clark Sunday. Come on in. The song you are listening to is by D Sings.
I'll just go for a drive. Corey,
and we're going to start
what if I miss the side? Sandra Bland. Okay, I'll just walk to the store. Mike Brown. The snacks and nothing more. Trayvon Martin. I'll jog, so I'll make it quick. Ahmaud Arbery. I've got a cell phone and it looks suspicious. Stephon Clark. Okay, I'll just run home, so I won't be out long. No running, Walter Scott. Then I'll get strapped to carry my own. Fernando Castillo. I got a question now, cause this just sounds wrong. No question asking Randy Evans.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Then I'll go to sleep.
Come on in. Stephon Clark Sunday. Join the movement, not the moment. Passion without direction is chaos. Passion with direction is purpose.
Let me say. It's our children.
Justice delayed is justice denied. And injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
We're forgotten, we're torn.
Transparency without accountability means nothing. Just like solidarity without organization is useless.
Take a day and put yourself in my shoes. Take a day.
And let me remind you that there is a difference between justice and accountability.
Take a day and put yourself in my shoes. Take a day. I wonder how would you do? Take a day and take the weight of being black off my back. Use the privilege. To change like that. Take a day and put yourself in my shoes. Lace them up tight. Be careful because they're big boots. Places of thorn. Holes at the bottom. No comfort.
This is such a beautiful record. And shout out to D Sings. This sister is literally the voice of the movement. The girl you hear singing this. She's such an incredible talent. She shows up at all our Unity and the community events. Just an amazing voice and a vessel. Not just for Stephon Clark, but a lot of people in the movement.
We can't breathe.
Take a knee, take a knee, take a knee.
I said take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. Take a knee, take a knee, take a knee.
So much love to D Sings. Shout out to D Sings. So that's all we got right there. And for our music selection. So before I get this started, I want to let you guys know that we are here for the life and legacy, of course, of my brother Stephon Clark. This is Stephon Clark Sunday. Shout out to Anita Thomas, Mama Peaches. She is the mother of Antonio Thomas. So shout out to her for logging in. She is a yayo and a mother of the movement. So much love to Sister Peaches, Mama Yayo, Anita Thomas for clocking in on this live. Shout out to all the people watching on Instagram. We love you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everybody on YouTube watching, everybody on Facebook, everybody in our Get Involved groups. Thank you for getting in tune with the movement and not the moment. Now we're here with actionable items, okay? Number one, when it comes to actionable items, when it pertains to the life and legacy of Stephon Clark, you know it, bridge the gap between law enforcement and at-risk communities. Before we even have that conversation, we must bridge the gap between community and community. I cannot expect them to quit killing us if we still killing each other. That's number one. We must bridge those gaps. Number two is to inform and educate on policy and legislative change. Inform meaning give facts. Educating means to give moral, social, or intellectual instruction on policy and legislative change. Stephon Clark is Stephon Clark Law. Stephon Clark Law is legacy on paper. Number three is to provide resources and healing spaces for those in need in our community. We believe you give a man a fish, he eat for a day. But if you teach that man to fish, maybe he'll eat for a lifetime. Number four is why I'm here, for the life and legacy of my brother, to commemorate the life and ongoing legacy of Stephon Clark in a positive light so that his name may live on for generations and generations and generations and generations, long, long, long after you and I have left this earth. Number five, I don't have all the answers, of course. So I need your help. So I need to help on receiving recommendations for the people on how to prevent Stephon Clark's from ever happening again. I need your help on how to prevent Marshall Miles and Antonio Thomas's from ever happening again. And number five, the golden rule. I love my Bible. I love the good book. John 15:12 says, love each other as I have loved you. If you skip down to John 15:18, it says, if the world hates you for it, know they hated me long before they ever hated you. So number six is our golden rule, the golden gospel, spread the gospel of love. Everybody love everybody. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. Now, next week, I'll be starting my first series of a new lecture I'm doing called The New Civil Rights Movement Post-George Floyd Era. This will be a 10-part series hosted here at Stephon's house. It's going to be incredible. You're going to learn about different types of activism, different types of leadership movements. You're going to be able to learn about Benjamin Crump, Johnny Cochran, Thurgood Marshall. We'll be talking about Sean King, Reverend Al Sharpton, Tamika Mallory. We'll be talking about performative activism, between armchair activism and slacktivism. We'll also be talking about clicktivism, because a lot of y'all do that clicktivism stuff, and you think you're doing something, but you really ain't doing nothing. So we'll be talking a lot about that. We'll talk about accountability on not some levels, but all levels. But we'll be talking about, most importantly for this 10-part series, is actionable items. Actionable items, okay? So that's very important. This will be a 10-part series starting next week for Stephon Clark Sunday, starting at 3 p.m. So 3 p.m., tune in or come join us here at Stephon's house for this special lecture. We also have a passion and paint party. And what's amazing about this passion and paint party is because, we have a lot of people in the movement that are artists, and I can't paint for nothing. But we have some artists in the movement that are coming and going to be lecturing and teaching and helping us paint. So this will be a paint and passion party. It'll also be a fundraiser for Stephon's house, and I will let you know the dates on that. We're still working on those dates for sure. But July 31st is the big one. July 31st is the first annual Stephon Clark State of the City Address. This is huge because we're going to be having most of the nonprofit leaders in the city of Sacramento there speaking on what we like to see happen for our city, what we want to see going forward, how can we come together, what a safe community looks like, what a healthy community looks like, what we the people coming together for us looks like. So I think this is very important. So I want everybody to be there, because bigger than a Stephon Clark State of the City Address, this will be a restorative, transformative justice meeting, and I want everybody to be there for this because it'll be amazing. This will be July 31st at Queen Sheba Ethiopian Restaurant. So everybody should be there. This will be the first annual Stephon Clark State of the City Address, and you might want to look good and look fancy because we're going to be in our ties and our vet. We're going to be looking good and nice and fancy. So please come looking your best in your A game, and that will be July 31st at Queen Sheba Ethiopian Restaurant. Okay. So we also have our movie night, our movie and game night, and the movie we're going to do is Two Distant Strangers. We're also going to be playing Space Jam later, but July 24th at 6 p.m. at Stephon's house. Come here for a free movie and free popcorn and watch the movie Two Distant Strangers. And this movie is a powerful film. If you haven't seen it on Netflix, stop watching me and go watch it, and then come back and watch it on live or the recorded version because the movie is so powerful. You don't want to miss it. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times, and I might see it 4 or 5 more times. Okay, so go watch that movie because that movie is powerful. And sometimes you can commemorate life and legacy through fashion, through film, through art, through music. It don't always have to be through speeches and panel discussions and state of the city addresses and murals and Stephon Clark laws and Stephon Clark playgrounds and Stephon Clark middle schools coming out fall 2022. It ain't got to be all that. It could be movies and things like that as well. And that's how we commemorate life and legacy. A lot of people don't understand how we commemorate life and legacy. It turns them off. If we want to start Stephon houses, if we want to get laws done, if we want to have murals, if we want to make our own sanitizer, if we want to make our own library, if we want to have our own museum to commemorate my brother's life and legacy in a positive light, damn it, so be it. Okay, because we rather not be doing any of this. We rather have our brother back. We rather have Stephon with us. Damn the law, damn the school, damn the murals. Would rather have Stephon Clark with us. If my brother was here, we wouldn't have to be doing all that. And if the district attorney didn't come out here and slander my brother's name, then I wouldn't have to try to go out there and be defending my brother's legacies. There's no reason I should be out here defending my brother's legacy when the officers who murdered him should be proving theirs in a court of law. Huh? Period. Now, I got a special guest. Y'all know I get riled up sometimes. Let me take my 10 to it, too. Because sometimes I get so upset at the way this system has failed our people. Not just black people, but brown people. For a matter of fact, police kill more brown people than black people in America. Bet you didn't know that. Police kill nearly 1,000 people a year in the United States of America. Nearly 1,000 people a year are killed by law enforcement here. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? You want to focus on geographical locale? You want to focus on who house is bigger? You want to focus on the Willie Lynch syndrome? You still want to be segregated based on cultural differences? Well, that's why the system wins. Because we, the people, have not decided to come together. You rather be divided by Democrat or Republican, Christian or Muslim. No, we must come together despite agenda. Everybody has an agenda. I hate to break it to you, but everybody has an agenda or a price, if you ask me. Now, I'm going to bring my special guest in here. Anita said, thank you for all I do. Anita, thank you for being a stand-up mother. Thank you for standing up for the life and legacy of Antonio Thomas. Thank you for being a yayo. Thank you for being a powerful mother who refuses to be silent in the face of injustice. Thank you. Now, I'm going to bring in a mother who also refuses to be silent in the name of injustices. This mother name is Bernadette Viez, and her son name is Fernando Alvarez, and he died in 2019. And I've always said transparency without accountability means nothing. I want to ask you something. What do you do if you don't even have the transparency? Huh? We can't even talk about transparency without accountability means nothing, because in this situation, there hasn't even been transparency. Addresses are not being correct. Video has not been released to the family. Police reports have not been released to the family. The family has more questions than the family has answers. Transparency is the minimum. And this family deserves transparency and accountability. And this mother, Bernadette, deserves to know what happened to her son. I'm going to bring Bernadette in. Bernadette is going to join us right now. Let me see if we can get her on the screen. There we go. How you doing, sister?
Hi, I'm okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today on this Stephon Clark Sunday. We appreciate you for being with us.
Thank you.
So, tell us a little bit about, if you mind, tell us a little about your son, Bernadette. Tell us a little about who Fernando was.
My son was a loving, caring, funny kid. He was a skater. he lost his life in 2019. I was trying to plan him a beautiful service, so I just went off what the police told me, that my son was killed in a hit and run. Well, from what I heard in the newspapers. And after I had his service, which he died August 22nd, I didn't bury my son until his birthday, September 4th,
Your
because
son died August 22nd, and you didn't bury your son until September 4th?
yes, I kept praying to God that he would bring my son back. September 4th was also his 21st birthday. After I buried my son, I kind of got suspicious when somebody sent me a picture of my son dead in the street. And in the picture, I opened it up and I can see his backpack, which was tagged by the coroner's office before he was even at the coroner's office. So that made me suspicious and asked more questions. So when I went to go get his death certificate, I also went to the coroner's office. Also, they did not let me see my son at the coroner's office. They refused to. So I couldn't see my son until he was transferred to Havings and Gilroy, which is a funeral home. When I went to the coroner's office, I asked questions. I asked to talk to the investigating coroner, and her name was Lourdes, and she told me that what Detective Troy Sermons was saying to me was impossible and could not happen. The detective told me that my son probably fell off his skateboard and hit his head, and that's how he died, but that was a lie. And I also would record my phone calls with the detective, and one day he didn't realize that he did not hang up the phone, and he said another cop was talking to him. He was in the office, and he said, "Who were you talking to?" And he said, "Vias." And he said, "About what case?" And he said, "The one where he got pushed out of the vehicle." Then I guess he realized that he didn't hang up. I had my hand over the phone, and he hung up the phone. And when I confronted him about it, he said he never said that. He did not know what I was talking about. And when I told him, "I actually have you recorded, so you did say that," he told me, if I did say that, he's like, "Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I was talking about a case that happened a year ago where there was a drug dealer and he was holding on to the car and he got pushed off of the car, and that's probably what I was talking about," after he denied it.
And then have there been follow up with those officers after that?
No, actually, my son's death certificate was changed, and they said I cannot change it back because the coroner's doctor is no longer with them. He has retired, and Detective Troy Sermons is no longer on the police force.
So the coroner's retired, and the detective on your case is no longer on the police force, correct?
That's what they told me, yes.
I told you. And have this been verified by any attorneys?
No.
Okay. Moving on. So, what do you think, Bernadette, happened? What do you believe happened to your son, Fernando? Do you have any guess of what you might have happened to your son?
I think my son. Well, I know my son was at Chavez Park with his friends, his so-called friends, and I know something happened where he was walking back to try to get on the light rail to go to my cousin's house where he was staying at in San Jose, and I believe he might have got into it with, one of his friends or something, and the police were called, and when the police showed up, I believe that my son was probably like telling him, "Why are you pulling me over for? You don't have no right to do this," because I always told my son that. And I believe that, they were probably like just like shut up or whatever, and they just kept hitting him until they killed him. I mean, I don't know where the part where he got pushed out of the vehicle. I don't know if they did have an undercover car there, and maybe they had my son in the car, and maybe he was trying to get away from them, pulled on the door, and fell out. I don't know if that could have been the case, but I believe that the San Jose Police Department, that they're holding something back from me. I've called several times asking them for the police report, and they told me they will not release it to me under special circumstances.
Oh my goodness. And have a lawyer followed up with them about that?
I've had a lawyer before, and she told me that she cannot press charges against the San Jose Police Department because there is no witnesses, but without that video, I don't believe we're going to get any answers. The one person that supposedly was with my son that night was a kid named Dominique, and I believe he might have talked to the police department because I've heard they can't put accidental unless they had witnesses, and he was found underneath the bridge dead. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, them changing his death certificate from accidental to undetermined. Maybe after he passed away, they did not have a witness anymore. Every time we were asking for help, we asked they had signs out there after my son had passed, and for the very first time in my life, I've actually trusted in the police force. I've thought they were going to get justice, and they put a sign out there saying, if you have any leads, please contact San Jose Police Department. So I believe the whole time we were asking for people to contact the San Jose Police Department, and I believe that the police department were getting all those leads, and it was them. So whoever seen the police, whether they moved my son's body from one side to the other, which I have heard that story before, that they actually moved his body. And now it makes sense because the lawyer was telling me before, why is this address different? And I didn't pay any attention to it actually until today when I looked at his death certificate, and it actually has the Martin Luther King Library's address, which is 150 East San Fernando Street. So every time I was trying to get the video, they were saying, oh, well, we already looked through the video, and there's a concrete pillar right here, and so we can't see anything that happened to him. Maybe he fell from the top of the building, which is like 200 feet in the air. If you guys know Flames Restaurant downtown San Jose, they have a garage up there, and it's really high. And they said maybe there was an accident or something, and maybe he fell off when they were asking my son's friends if my son was suicidal, which my son was never suicidal. We're Catholic, so at a very young age, we teach our kids, if you commit suicide, what we believe is that you go to hell. So there's no way my son would have did that. He was planning his 21st birthday to go to San Francisco with all his friends. And my son was a skater, so he has fell off of garbage cans, like really high garbage cans, and cracked his head open right here, cracked his head open right here. The only thing that my son did have that was visible is that he had a hole in his head, which was similar to a baton hole. When I asked Habings and Gilroy how much wax they had to use to fill in that hole, they told me that they couldn't tell me how much they used, that it was the people who embalmed who did that, and they didn't have any record of it, which I believe also is a lie. So I don't know how many people are in on it with the San Jose Police Department, and I'm kind of too scared to ever say anything because I don't want people to believe that I'm crazy, if I say something that sounds...
No. People you have no answers. You have no answers at all whatsoever. So the hell with people thinking you crazy. You need to find answers for your son until they are in that predicament, until they have to wear the shoes you have to wear, the shoes you have to bear, until they're in this club that nobody wants to be a part of, the club of a mother having to bury her child, especially before its 21st birthday, until they have to understand that the hell with their opinions, the hell with their thoughts about you, the hell with what they have to say. Because at the end of the day, those opinions and those thoughts that people might have on you as a mother, they're lucky that you don't feel the way against them if they were to lose their child. They're lucky that you're not that type of person to be hateful, be full of revenge, be full of just hate. You know, it could, because what it shows to me, even you said in your earlier statement, you said that his so-called friends, and it's okay to say that because sometimes you think that somebody's really there for you and they know something, but they withhold something, and those are not real friends.
Yeah, nobody seems to remember what happened to him, which way he went, who he took off with. You know, I had to bury my son on his 21st birthday. And my son was my everything. I just wish I could bring him back. He wanted to come home on the 15th and he died on the 22nd.
Our hearts are with his mother. Our hearts are with the family of Fernando. We need answers. We need accountability. We need something. We need some type of transparency. She's been fighting. She's been fighting, and she's gonna keep fighting until she gets some answers. And as long as she's here, she knows she has a brother in the movement who's gonna keep fighting with her. I don't care how many times we gotta come back to the general public and tell the story of Fernando Alvarez. We will. I don't give a damn how many times until we get some answers. San Jose PD has something, and we need to have the police report. We need to have the videos. We need for the so-called friends of Fernando. Somebody's seen something. You can't tell me didn't nobody. Somebody's out there has seen something, and somebody needs to come forward and do the right thing and say something. You know, because what a lot of people don't understand watching is that for you guys, Stephon Clark happened in 2018. That's all that. But for us that's been affected in this movement, we lost our loved ones today, this morning. We lost just now. This is a reoccurring. We're still grieving, especially in Sister Bernadette case.
The worst thing is not knowing what happened to your child and the people who you trust. And you have faith that they're going to help you get justice for your kid. And they just don't want to let you know anything. Like, it's sad that the government can keep whatever they want from you. And they don't have to give you any information about the child who you gave birth to. And it was easy raising my child.
Anything you want to say to anybody else? Anything you want to say? Because we got about 9 more minutes left, but I want to let you say. I want you to give your heart out. Let whatever you haven't said that you do want to say. I want you to say it because this last 9 minutes, I want people to understand that we're not here anti-law enforcement, anti anything. What we're here is saying, you know, this is a mob mentality by some law enforcement officials.
Exactly. I believe there is still some good cops out there. You know, my cousin is a cop and he's a good cop. And my uncle, my Nino, he was a cop and he was a good cop also, you know. So I'm not saying all police officers are bad, but
I know.
To any mother who lost a child, never give up.
Mhm.
Like I've been dying inside. I've been trying to figure out what happened to my son since 2019. I have fought, and it's like nobody will help. I have contacted all these justice families and all these different people telling them my story. I mean, only so much that I could tell at the time when I didn't have this lawyer, but I've asked them for help and nobody wants to help me. And it's like the devil, like, I believe in God so much that I believe that the devil keeps on putting up these walls for people not to help me. And I was in the hospital getting back surgery, and that's when one of the nurses, I was talking to her about what happened to my son, and she seen how much it hurt me, and she gave me your number, and I was trying to recover, so I couldn't find your number, and then all of a sudden the paper just, I found it somewhere in my room, and I was like, before I lose it again, I'm gonna get a hold of you, and luckily, you heard me out, and I have you now.
Yes, yes, you
And
do.
that makes me feel good because I've been feeling alone for so long. Like, at first it was nice. All his friends would call me and stuff. But now I've just realized that I have no one, it's just me fighting and fighting. And I'm also going to have a Justice for Fernando festival downtown San Jose at Cesar Chavez Park on August 22nd. It's going to be from 1 to 5. And
Yeah.
some of his friends are helping me set that up.
Yes, and the Clark family and the I Am Sack Foundation would love to help sponsor that or make a donation to however we can help with that. Whether it
Thank
is
you.
we can do to help with that, count us in. We will be helping with that, whatever you need. And
We'll
this,
also have a justice walk, so we'll be walking,
oh,
from where he died to Chavez Park also. So if anybody wants to go out and support us, I'd appreciate it.
yes, and we'll be sharing all those flyers on our platforms and everything. And I know that feeling, and I'm so glad that nurse gave you my number because I know the feeling of when it all happens, everybody's around and we're going to be here and all this and that, and then when it comes down to it being a movement and not a moment, nobody's there to be found, and
Exactly.
I know that feeling. That's why when you reached out to me, I believe in divine intervention. God don't make mistakes. You know, he knows how to connect the right people with the right fight and the right causes. Sometimes I think it's just me out here fighting. I'm like, man, no. And I look at some of the yayos, and the word yayo, we've created a term because you have a husband who loses a wife. They call those a widows, but you don't have a term for a mother who has to bury a child. So we call them yayos, and yayos are mothers of the movement. And sister, I would love to have you on our Healing with Mama Clark Yayo program, starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. It's a healing group for mothers like yourself, and I think you could be a powerful voice for those mothers. A lot of those mothers lost their children as well, some 10 years ago, some last year, some 2018, like my brother. But I think having you there in that healing group will be healing for you. And then also, it'll be a good group to have around you when it comes to fighting, because this fight could be lonely sometimes because people say they with you and they not with you. So I understand how people could come out for the justice walks. They'll come out for the Fernando rallies. But where were you before that? Where were you leading up to the justice? Where were you leading up to the accountability? Don't just come for the commemoration and the highlighting if you're not doing the work. And that's why a lot of people, I say, they need to get with the movement and not the moment. And if you're a friend of Fernando and you've seen something and you know something, say something. You have to say something. Your silence is compliance. And that's to anybody that knows something. I don't care about neighbors, cops, anybody that overheard anything. Your silence is compliance. We need transparency so that way we can have accountability. But we can't even have accountability without the transparency. So somebody knows somebody, or somebody knows something. Somebody should say something. Also, I just want to add that because we've got about 4 or 5 more minutes. I'm gonna let you get the final word. But I will also want to add that the Stephon Clark Foundation is also going to be having a Mothers of the Movement rally coming up soon in the month of August. August 10th is Stephon Clark's birthday. And we would love to have you here for Stephon's birthday in Sacramento as well. That'll be August 10th. Yeah. So other than that, we're going to, I decree, declare that we're going to get justice and accountability for the life and legacy of Fernando. I decree, declare, pronounce, and announce it. Everybody watching, receive now. I decree, declare that, and I pronounce and announce it that we're going to get justice and accountability for the life and legacy of Fernando Alvarez. So we're going to say his name 3 times. You want to take the honors, Sister Bernadette, for saying his name 3 times?
Yes, Fernando Alvarez. Fernando Alvarez. Fernando Alvarez. Say his name.
Fernando Alvarez. Fernando Alvarez. Fernando Alvarez. Everybody say his name. Yes.
And these are pictures of my son. My son graduated high school. He was a smart boy. Any job he had, he worked his way up so fast. He loved his cousins. He loved his sister. He loved his twin brothers. In one of the letters he wrote his brothers, he said that he couldn't wait until he taught his brothers how to do some tricks on the skateboard, and it's just sad that my kids will never get that opportunity. It hurts my kids. Every night we pray for him, and every night my kids ask me, Mom, why can't Nono be here? Why did God have to take Nono? And that's something I can't answer. I just tell them that we'll see him again one day, and he's in heaven now. It's just not knowing, like, for 3 months, I didn't know what happened to my son, and I was believing the police officers, and, maybe something did happen, and maybe, there was an accident, and he fell from, flames, and after, like, just thinking about it, I'm like, no way, like, there's no way my son would have had an accident. I've actually went up there, and my son was pretty short like me, and the platform at least comes up to here, so there's no way he could have just fell off from the top doing tricks or anything. There's no way he had to actually jump over, There's no way he could have just fell.
We're gonna find something. Somebody knows something. Our time is up. I'm gonna send you Mama Clark's number. It's on your text mail through the text message, and then the healing session will be at 10 a.m. And just like how we did this interview, they'll send you a link just like this, and you'll be able to join at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I love you for joining me. I appreciate you. My heart is with you. I'll see you again. I'll see you shortly. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Anytime. All right now. Bye.
Bye.
That's Fernando, you guys. That's the picture of Fernando right there. That's him. He should be alive today. We're going to find out what happened. We're going to try to get some justice and accountability. But most importantly, we're going to try to get some transparency. Thank you again, Bernadette. I'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Now, as you can see, this is a fight like no other. As you can see, mothers are losing their children in despicable ways. This mother has not had the police report given to her. This mother has not had the video because there have been claims that there's video. She does not have that video released to her. This mother literally has no answers whatsoever from the San Jose Police Department. And San Jose PD has a history of this type of behavior. As a matter of fact, most of the police departments in America have a history of this type of behavior. And that's why I always try to tell people that if we don't come together as one, if we don't come together, then they will continue to kill us. They'll continue to murder us. They'll continue to slaughter us in our grandmother's backyard. They will continue to claim that they mistook our cell phones for guns because we as a people have not decided to come together for actionable items. My heart is with the family of Fernando, Alvarez, and Bernadette, and they're going to be on our Yayos group tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Next week, we start the 10-part series of the new civil rights movement post-George Floyd era. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in for this special edition of Stephon Clark Sunday. It means a lot to me, of course. I also want to let people know that next week's Stephon Clark Sunday is going to be very transformative because this new civil rights movement post George Floyd era comes in many sections. And we're going to be talking about the price of the agenda. We're going to be looking at the I Am SAC documentary presented by the Sacramento Bee. We'll be talking about Stephon Clark, the human being. We'll be talking about Black America's attorney generals from Thurgood Marshall to Johnny Cochran to Benjamin Crump. We'll be talking about voices of the movement from Dr. Martin Luther King, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton, Sean King, and Tamika Mallory. We'll be talking about actionable items such as policy and legislative change, President Obama's task force on 21st century policing, and the Black Panther 10-point program, especially the SAC 6 and the I Am SAC 2020 10-point program. This will be an amazing lecture starting next Sunday, and I want everybody to be there. Thank you all for joining me, and may the life and legacy of my brother, Stephon Clark, live on in a positive life for generations and generations long after you and I have left this earth. I decree it, I declare it, I pronounce it, I announce it, receive now. Have a good and great evening. I'm going to play this song one more time because it's such an amazing song. So as I leave, let's listen to this song and let's feel the movement because the movement is forever. And too many people are trying to claim they're activists, but they're really activists. Beware of activists. Literally, beware of these activists because they come out from everywhere. They, performative activism. They're only activists for their likes. They're only activists for their network. They're only putting the Black Lives Matter sign on their window to save their businesses. They don't give a damn about y'all black asses. It's performative activism.
Your skin is black and it stays like that. It's 2.5 strikes against yours.
And we are sick of it.
Where is my wallet?
We are sick of it.
I got it cash.
Much love to Tamika Mallory. Much love to our sister Leslie. Much love to Lee Merritt, running for Attorney General of Texas. That's an actionable item. Running for office. Much love, Attorney Lee Merritt, running for Attorney General of Texas. We need a civil rights lawyer running for Attorney General. Much love to Lee Merritt because he is Black America's Attorney General, representing the family of Ahmaud Arbery. I got a cell phone if it looks suspicious. Stephon Clark.
Okay, I'll just run home.
This is for Oscar Grant. This is for Walter Scott. This is for Philando Castile.
I got a question now, cause this just sounds
This
wrong.
is for
No question asking Randy Evans.
And this is for Breonna Taylor.
It's our children, it's our mothers, it's our sisters, and our brothers. And
this is for the movement. This is for all those we have lost to this unjust system.
Children, it's our mothers,
and like I've said in the words of Dr. King, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere.
We're forgotten, we're tormented, we're abandoned.
Thank you all for joining us. I love you all. I appreciate you all.
So
you could have been anywhere in the world, but you tuned in to our Stephon Clark Sunday, and we thank you for that. We really do. The song's almost over. I gotta go now. Get ready for this lecture. But I thank you all for joining us. I thank you all for being a part of the movement and not the moment. Because if we don't come together, as one, they will continue to kill us. If we don't come together despite agendas, despite prices, despite geographical locale, they will continue to slaughter us. We must come together. I'm begging us to come together. If you don't do it for me, do it for the kids. Don't do it for me, do it for your children's children. Ain't you tired of too many neighborhoods and not enough neighbors?
I said, take a knee, 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 take a knee.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And if you're not sick of it, you are part of the problem. Yes, indeed, you are. You are part of the problem. Your divisive rhetoric is part of the problem. So, I love everybody. I've said what I said. God bless you. Everybody, love everybody. For lunch, I had Tori's place, the hot water cornbread, the gumbo. I had baked chicken, macaroni and cheese, and greens, and I had banana pudding, and I had an Arnold Palmer drink. So if you want to go have lunch, I would tell you to go to Tori's place. God bless you. Everybody, love everybody. Go now. Get off your ass and go. I don't know why you're still sitting there. Get off your ass and go to Tori's place. Support black businesses owned by a black woman. Let's get it. Let's go.